During the 90s, Taiwanese filmmaker Ming-Liang would stand outside box offices, passionately pleading for people to see his films, often breaking down into tears. Ming-Liang's second feature, Vive shows a similar earthiness to this beautiful anecdote. The 1994 film focuses on three disaffected Taipei youths, Xiao Kang, Mei Lin, and Zhang, as they flicker past each other and dwell aimlessly around the nexus of an empty high-rise apartment. The form and structure of the movie, as Chris Berry recounts, is concerned with a form of hyperbolic realism, where the mundane details of ordinary life are spotlit in a way that overshadows any real plot or concrete meaning. Instead, as Ming-Liang stated himself, Vive l'amour feels like life. We get offered these potent, tactile, and intimate moments that draw us into the lonely world of the characters. Characters throw melons like bowling balls, drink excessively from plastic water bottles, try on high heels, run baths, masturbate, eat, sleep, gaze in the mirror, and roam in reflective wide shots. This sense-based approach clearly ties into the whole philosophical field of phenomenology. Now, the founding phenomenologists, who were a group of philosophers, were interested in turning the subjective into the objective, claiming the variable ways that we experience the world are truer than any empirical science. This applies a lot to Husserl and Heidegger, but it also to a lesser extent applies to the philosopher Hume, as he saw our consciousness as a result of a flurrying theatre of sensations, rather than a discrete individual spirit or self. Vive l'amour kind of feels like the phenomenological film. Its minimalism puts us squarely in the experience of the characters, letting pathos brim out of basic human activity. This culminates in the film's ending, after an unconventional moment of connection, wherein Mei Lin and Zhang sleep together and Xiao Kang masturbates alongside them under the bed. Mei goes out for a walk the next morning. The landscape is immediately set apart from the rest of the film's gloomy, overcast look. A mysterious blue glow hangs like a haze over the dawning Taipei. Could the convergence of the three lonely characters cause Mei to become more open and connected to her senses? Could this have opened up an avenue for relief through attention towards whirlwind phenomenological experience? Well, as Mei Lin walks through a park, it feels possible. The sun's coming up, the greens and blues in the frame are lush, the camera moves more expressively than it has before, and then Mei sits down. What follows is a painful 6-minute static shot where she breaks out into guttural, emphatic bursts of crying. Clearly there's a problem here, and it ties into the limited scope of the classic phenomenologists. While the intimate moments of the film are beautiful, it's in a kind of aching, longing way. In fact, these moments really work to reflect the crushing loneliness that was more and more felt during the rapid modernization and loss of tradition in Taiwan during the late 20th century. Now, the film's title, Vive l'amour, translates to Long Live Love. And as you could probably tell, this title is almost definitely ironic. Our leads are Xiao Kang, a suicidal columbarium salesman unable to process his budding sexuality, Zhang, a traveling seller of bootleg clothes without a fixed home, and Mei Lin, a dejected woman watching her youth fade as she sells sterile luxury apartments to the wealthy. All of them lonely and are atomized by modernity. Yet for a film so full of phenomenology, phenomenologists hardly ever mention or pay attention to loneliness and the fundamental part of the human condition that it is. While Husserl and Hume and Heidegger and all these H's found the individual to be derived from experience and sensation, they were still too focused on this individual and less on the sexiness of intersubjectivity and the importance of other people in creating us as a subject, living through other people. This is where the theorist and philosopher Hannah Arendt comes in. Arendt, like the phenomenologist, sees the world as located precisely on the surface, meaning in the details of our experiences and lives. However, she pushes Husserl's framework into something that is more worldly by outlining the political forces that affect these surface experiences and arguing for the importance of plurality and existing through other people. Arendt also focused on modernity, outlining the loss of the world that has occurred as modernity has turned people into isolated individual units. Whilst we experience the world as phenomena, we can't just dance in Hume's theatre of sensations alone. Vive l'amour suggests that social structures and modernity largely keep us doing this, and all we're left to do is try and seek out any sort of connection, crying by ourselves in an empty park when we can't. So is that all there is? Is the film purely dystopia? Does any amour vive in Vive l'amour? Well, the film's last moments present a possible way of relief from fractured modern life. Chris Berry, who I mentioned earlier, recounts upon seeing the film's ending, "I find myself suffused with a strange joy and plenitude in the catharsis that comes with indulging with others." And indulgence in this sense refers to the sort of raw, unattractive emotional display, such as Mei-Lin's crying to the audience, that crosses over societal expectations and into pure expressive release. The kind of indulgence found in Ming-Liang's desperate tearful begging for people to see his films. This indulgence reaches back to our base physical being and brings out closeness and empathy, encapsulating both phenomenology and plurality. Perhaps such unhinged emotion can take us out of the lonely phenomena of modernity and can help us recognize and live in and through the world and other people.